What's going on, everybody? Eric Bourassa here, and today I want to teach you Semi-Charmed Life by Third Eye Blind. So when I was in about the 5th or 6th grade, I distinctly remember exactly where I was the first time I heard this song. Driving up Clayton Road, sitting in the passenger seat of my mom's Suburban, and I heard this riff come on. I was like, whoa, that's cool. And then I heard all these doot-to-doot-doos, and I was like, whoa, that's super catchy. And I was like, what is this? I want the album of whoever this band is. And I think that was the only song I had heard, and I asked for this album, and it became the first compact disc that I ever owned, Third Eye Blind's self-titled album from 1997. And I ended up falling in love with that album, and it is to this day my favorite rock album of all time. And not only is it my favorite, right? Sometimes you know it's your favorite, but you realize like it's just like for personal reasons, which of course it is. But then sometimes, but you realize it's not necessarily. You understand why other people would not like it. This is one of those albums that I think is the greatest rock album ever created. I would put it up there with AC/DC's Back in Black or any Led Zeppelin album. I really think this goes toe-to-toe. Now, am I a product of the 90s? Yes. So am I biased? Yes, absolutely. But I still think it deserves to be in that conversation. This was the lead single from that album, and it's a great tune. It's basically just G, D, and C for almost the entire song, except for one other hint of an A minor. So check it out. Let's start with this intro riff. So we've got G, the 4-finger G, and then we're going to D. By the way, when you switch from G to D, I would leave that third finger in place. That's your pivot finger, pivot. So don't lift that off. That just ends up being more work for you. And then at the tail end of that D, you're going to go to D sus4 just by adding that pinky to the first string, 3rd fret. Don't lift off that middle finger when you go to it. You don't need to. Just add the pinky. And then you're going to switch to C add 9. That 3rd and 4th finger can stay in place, and that is your pivot to the C add 9 here. All right, so on that G, you're going to go down, up, down, up, down, and then you need to kill it with your striking hand. And then to the D. You can switch to the D sus4 on the very last hit, or like the last couple of hits. I have always switched too early on the D sus4. I would go. You can do a rest at the end of that D. Kind of kill it. I usually strum through all the way to the end of the measure. So I go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's typically how I play it. 4 Ds, 4 D sus4s. Now the way I have it written is 5 Ds, 1 hit of the D sus4. There's really not a rest at the end of that D sus4. But yeah, so you can kind of play with that, but the G has to be like that. And the C add 9 has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, rest, 1, 2, rest. And that's always down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? So again, it's up to you if you play through all the way to the end of the D, to the D sus4 chord. I think it sounds better just playing it through. But it's up to you whether you want to stop on the strum or not. So that's the main riff. There is this little fill that's kind of in the background. You can just pull off from 3 to 1 to 0 on the second string. instead of doing the last 2 hits of C add 9. Now, if you only have one guitar player in the band, just do the C add 9. If you have 2 guitar players, the second guitarist can actually do that little pull off, and they can do a regular C chord. So apparently the original recording has not just this C add 9, but another guitar playing a regular C. At the same time, so you could have a second guitar doubling there. So the good news is this riff serves as the intro, the verse, and the chorus. It's the bulk of the song. Now, when the first verse starts, the guitar definitely goes clean, and it sounds highly compressed to me. Like there's a compressor on there, and it sounds kind of like this. To me, it doesn't even so much sound like that. I might even try using like partial triad chords. You might try that on the first verse. If I was playing this live, I think that's how I would do it. I would play G like this. And this is not in the chord chart, but you might just try this going 3, 3, 4, 5 for your G. And then for your D, partial bar at 7/7/7 on strings 4, 3, 2, respectively, be respective. And then add 8 on the second string. And then for the C, I would play 3, 3, 5, 5. Or you could go. No, I don't like that as much. And listen to how different that sounds from. You could do that on the verse, but I still like. Yeah, it's a little bit more groovy. And then about halfway through the verse, we get, you're going to kick that distortion on just for the G. And then go back to regular chords. Okay, and then after the intro, the verse, and the chorus, we've got a second verse, and in the second verse, you can pick those chords. He's just doing some kind of random picking throughout those. So yeah, so second verse, you can pick some of those. At the end of the second verse, we get a pre-chorus, which is just D to C. That's at 135. I would use a regular C chord, and I've written the strum pattern as down, 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 down. But you could also that's kind of what it sounds like on the recording, but for simplicity's sake, I would go quarter, 8th, 16th, quarter, 8th, 16th, down, 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 up, switch, down, 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 up. And of course, on that very last strum, you're actually lifting your fingers, and that's where you switch the chord. So you actually have one strum of just open strings. Slowed down, it doesn't sound very good, but up to speed, you don't even notice it. It's kind of a secret of all guitar players that they don't always tell you. But I'm telling you, you've got the secrets now. All right, at the end of the pre-chorus, so you play this 3 times. So you have those final D hits, 1, 2, rest, 1, 2, rest, 1, and another rest. And then we're back to another chorus. Okay, and then at 2:04, we get to the bridge, which is going to go something like... Now, what I always tell students is it kind of doesn't matter what strings you're hitting here, as long as you start with the bass note of each chord. But the pattern I've got, and what this kind of sounds like on the recording, is you hit the bass note of the chord. So there's our low G. And then third string, first string, second string. Bass note of the D, third, first, second. Bass note of the C, third, first, second. Bass note, third, first, second. So that's the pattern that I'm following. But if you don't follow that pattern exactly, that's okay, as long as you're hitting notes in the chord and you're landing on the bass note with each change. All right, so after twice through that bridge part, we go back to the regular riff being big. This is still part of the bridge. We'll play that twice. And then at 222, we get our second bridge, which is the same as the pre-chorus, D to C. Now in the radio edit, this does not exist, but on the album, it does. Okay, so starting at 222, we got, and when the plane came in, she said she was crashing. The velvet ripped through the city, but you felt the urge to feel alive. Now G, now I'm struggling to survive. Back to D, those days you were wearing that velvet dress. You're the priestess, I must confess, those little red panties, they pass the test. Slide up the belly, face down on the mattress. Slide up around the belly, face down on the mattress. That's how it goes. So G, and then a rest, okay? And then at 241, we have more arpeggiated chords, but just still D to C. One, and you hold me, and we're broken. It's all that I want to do just a little now, and then you're back into the verse. So that's just arpeggiating D to C. When that G kicks in, it's down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, that's what makes this song tricky, is it's all G's, D's, and C's, but the rhythmic changes and the dynamic variations, that's what's tricky. So then we basically have like a verse 3. Of the ground, I'm dead, but I'm not coming down. No, no. And I will run for my life. She's got her jaws now locked down in a smile, but nothing is all right. All right, now we get a quiet chorus at 310. Wow. I'm doing kind of the same pattern as before, but on that C, you're only gonna play that once. And then the fourth time we've got, all right, so after that D, which you're gonna hold, D chord, stretch and reach over that pinky to grab 5 on the first string, okay? And then we get this cool little walk down, C, G over B to A minor. And hold each of those like a chord, C, but you don't need the first finger, G over B, just that one finger, and then A minor. But you really don't need the first finger there, okay? But that's what it's implying. And let all those notes ring. You're going to play that riff 4 times. Goodbye. Goodbye. Hi. Then we're back to the main riff, but the rhythm changes. So the G to the D, we got G, G, D, 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 D. So it's not... Instead, it's... right? A little bit different. And then the second time through that, the C rhythm is different. So on that C add 9, I'm going down, 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 up, down, up. And you got to kind of feel that rhythm there. There's some syncopation definitely happening. So that whole final time after this little walk down, we get... So you can be really loose with the rhythm at that point, and for the rest of the song, you're going to play that 5 more times, and then we end with... So you don't walk all the way down on that last A minor. You're just going to hit 022, basically an A5 chord, and then the snare ends it just the way the snare ends the next song, Jumper, which you can see in one of my other lessons. That's right, I'm doing the whole stinking album. We started with Jumper, and then Graduate, and now we're doing Semi-Charmed Life. Next, we're going to do How's It Gonna Be? And then I think we'll probably do Narcolepsy, and then Losing a Whole Year. And then that covers the first half of the album, and then we'll start working through the back half of the album. How can I not? It's my favorite album of all time. It's one of my top 2 favorite albums of all time. I go back and forth between this and Blink-182's Enema of the State. Those are for sure my 2 favorite albums of all time. And it goes back and forth which one I like the most. But the Enema of the State is more like pop punk, punk rock. So I call Third Eye Blind's album my favorite rock album of all time, just for straight ahead rock. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what I got right, what you think I got wrong. If anything's confusing about this lesson, because there's a lot going on. If there's anything I went too fast through, anything you need clarification on, just let me know. And you can get the tabs in the description below. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you guys in the next times.